everyone. Comment here with questions. Q+A. Woo! That way people on YouTube can comment. And for people tuning in, welcome. I'm going to share the link, the audience link, if you want to join us live in studio. So just bear with me. Invite. This is where my ADHD brain kicks in and I'm like, what button do I push?
I'm not familiar with Riverside. I haven't used that before.
It is a podcast streaming platform, so I use it primarily for that. We have a handful of people joining us on Facebook, I can see. So
Awesome.
I really hope that the comment section is going to work. If you're able to see it on your end, Aaron, let me know. Now, fam, if you guys are not getting your questions answered, go into the Riverside stream with us, because sometimes Facebook is finicky.
Where will I see them? Is it just in the chat?
If you are looking at it live on Facebook, it should show up. It looks like it's frozen on my end, but people are coming in. They're reacting to the live video, so there are people watching.
Okay. Awesome.
Now, you guys, if you have like super pressing questions and it's not working for you, you can also email them to me, Melanie@ispeakorganized.com, because I'm going to be monitoring comments to the best of my ability. I'm also going to do the best I can because we have people that are just joining the group for the very first time and requesting access. So make sure that you agree to the group rules, because otherwise the group automatically just declines the invite. And we don't want that to happen. So I have no control over it. It just happens automatically as a filter. Yeah, my comment is still posting. I'm going to refresh. Oh, something went wrong. How exciting. Oh, no, here we go. Danae's here. She says hi. Okay.
I did see her.
Yeah, there's people here. Okay, so if for some reason I can't see the comments, which it looks like I can, click that link that I just added. I'm going to pin it to the top. So if you want to come live in studio and ask questions here, you can either call in, be on camera if you're feeling sassy, or you can just simply comment down in the chat area. So that works as well. And if we're not getting to your questions, like I said, just email me, Melanie@ispeakorganized.com. I'll be checking all of that to ensure that you guys are getting answers to your questions. Who's here? Who's watching? I know Danae's here. Don't be shy, you guys. I see that you're here. So feel free to comment. Let us know where you're watching from. Email questions to Melanie@ispeakorganized. Good. Michelle says, hello. Hi, Michelle. You guys, if you don't know, this is my friend Aaron, Mr. Aaron Traub.
How's it going?
He's a little shy, but he's very, very good at what he does. And we're both wearing glasses today.
That's right. Yeah.
Are those real prescription or are those blue blockers?
These are blue blockers. Yeah.
These are blue blockers.
Are they really?
Yes, because, well, I don't need to wear glasses yet, although I celebrated my 38th birthday. I know I don't look that old, just kidding. But I am starting to notice that my eyes are getting a little like fuzzy, and I'm like, what is this?
Sure.
This is new. I don't like this.
They help a lot. You know, it's just this, I stare at screens all day long, so I figured it'd be a good, investment.
It most certainly is. It's very important to invest in your health. Let's see. Anybody else saying hi? We got Worth Organizing Jaylene here from the boonies in Chicagoland. All right. Welcome. Welcome to the stream.
I saw Addie said hi.
Addie's here too. What's up, sister? I haven't talked to you in forever. I hope everything is going well. I miss you. Hearts up to you.
Let's do it.
As I told Aaron before, I am simply the hype girl. So I'm going to let him kind of take over. And then as you guys have questions, please type them in the chat, email them to me, whatever. You can DM me. It looks like I'm getting people DMing me. So that's a great way to ask questions if they're not popping up. And then I will post those questions at the end of Aaron's presentation, and he is going to answer everything because he really truly is the SEO expert. Just to
thank you.
Not to blow up his ego really badly, but I worked with Aaron on a very simple SEO audit of my website. What was that, 2 years ago?
Yeah, I'd say about 2 years ago.
Okay. It's funny how time passes so quickly. So we've known each other, and I've known him and his girlfriend for, probably 4 or 5 years now, which is kind of crazy to think that it's been that long.
Definitely.
But Aaron did an audit for me about 2 years ago, And I took everything that he said to heart over the course of about a year or so. And now SEO is the only lead generation strategy that I Speak Organized uses, in addition to our sales language and our website optimization and all of that. But we have been able to very seamlessly raise our rates and attract the right clients. And now it's all 100% SEO. So what Aaron is going to be talking about today may lead you to the path of wanting to contact him, but what he's saying, like, definitely please take it very seriously. Okay, with that being said, Aaron, take it away.
Thank you. Well, if y'all don't know me yet, I am a professional organizer as well. I do own a home organizing company in New Orleans. We've been doing this for about 4 years. I do have a background in marketing as well, but kind of moving forward, we got into the organizing space and we've had a lot of success, just like Melanie, with our website and our Google presence as well. That's kind of like the foundation of our marketing efforts. There's some other things that we do, of course, as well. But, SEO really is the foundation to what we do and some of the success that we have as well. So today I just wanted to jump on with Melanie. I did put together a pretty quick presentation, but I really just wanted to focus on kind of the heavy hitting things that you can do with your organizing business and your website and Google business profile so that you can ultimately rank well in Google and, of course, get some high paying clients through Google and your Google business profile. So with that being said, I wanted to just jump into the whole thing of just SEO for professional organizers. Here, let me see if there we go. Okay, so if you don't know what SEO is already, in short, really what it is the practice of improving your website and your Google business profile to show up for local searches inside of Google. This being things like home organizer in your city, whether it be like professional organizer in your city or things like professional organizer near me. So it really is the practice of helping Google understand, what it is that your website is all about, of course, where you do it. When SEO is done correctly, what you can kind of expect is that it brings not only just high quality traffic, but leads to your business, kind of 24/7, 365. That's a little bit about what SEO is. I'm sure I'll be able to get the little finer details as well. But as a whole, it's really just a matter of making sure that you show up in Google searches when somebody's searching locally for a professional organizer. So, why SEO, right? Why is it that we want to, rank well inside of Google? Why is, SEO such a foundational marketing platform for organizers as well? Well, there's several reasons out there as to why SEO is so important. But, some of the four core ones that I really look at is one being, you're showing up at the top of where people are actively searching for organizing services. So you're putting your business at the forefront of where people are actively searching for a service like this. So the intent's going to be there as well. It's going to be really high intent of a type of marketing platform. You do get a bit of an increased credibility boost with just ranking well inside of Google. Humans just have a subconscious kind of feel towards businesses that rank well inside of Google. So if you get a little bit of increased credibility just by ranking inside of Google as well, then that can help with just all of the other stuff inside of your business, whether it be sales and stuff like that too. But that can definitely help. And then, of course, again, you're really getting some of the best high quality leads that you can get because you're getting leads from people that are actively searching for this type of service. And then lastly is it brings traffic to your website 24/7, 365 without having to pay for any ads. So once you get to those placements, that 1, 2, or 3 placement, you can expect traffic and leads, on a routine basis. And it can even happen in your sleep. There's been several times where we've woken up and we've had leads come straight from Google. So that's always a good feeling to wake up and you have some leads in your inbox. Now, how does Google decide who to show? Now, there are several factors that Google takes into account when it comes to showing, not only a website, but a Google business profile, but it can really be dialed down to 3 individual things. 1 is relevance. 2, location, and 3 is trust. So Google's going to take a look at this kind of stuff when they're looking at your website and your Google business profile to determine if you should rank for a given keyword when someone's searching on Google. So 1 being relevance is it's in Google's best interest to provide users that are on their platform with relevant searches or relevant results. So if somebody's searching for a professional organizer, it's in Google's best interest to show professional organizers. So it's going to make a lot of sense to have that kind of wording on your website, make it very clear that you're a professional organizer. And then 2 is going to be location, right? So we're in the game of local SEO. That means we're focusing on completely local businesses and local search results. Google's really cracked down on proximity to where somebody is searching searching from. So you want to make sure that, if you're a professional organizer, let's say in Dallas, for example, but you're ideally trying to rank inside of Frisco, which is about 30 to 45 minutes away, it may be a little bit difficult because Google wants to really prioritize, organizers that are within that same location. So you want to make sure that you're as close as possible to the person that is searching from whatever device that they are on. And then lastly is trust, right? You have the right trust signals in play that will give Google a good representation of your business and something that they would want to highlight to people that are searching for local organizers. So do you have enough reviews in play? Do you have helpful content on your website? And do you have other brand mentions on other websites that refer back to your website? You really want to make sure that you have these trust signals in place so that Google can confidently represent you and show you, of course, in those local search results. So Google is going to look at both, not only your website, but also your Google business profile. That's going to determine, what it is, that or where it is that you show up in those search results. So if you're not familiar yet with SEO, kind of the ideal goal that we're looking at here is, where do you want to rank ultimately? There's going to be two spots that you want to rank for inside of Google. And this is completely organic. We're not talking about like paid ads or anything, just simply just the organic stuff. And that's going to be in the Google Map Pack. So if you look at this image here, we have a representation of what like a traditional local search result will look like. So ideally you would want to rank in what this is called the Google Map Pack. So in that Google Map Pack, that's going to be all the Google business profiles of the local competitors that you're ultimately competing with. You'll see like the reviews and the hours and all the descriptions and stuff like that. So ideally you would want to rank in the top 3 with your Google business profile. And then underneath that, you're going to see the traditional organic results that we're all kind of familiar with. Those are like the 10 blue links that you see in any like local or any Google search. So the great thing about this is you can have multiple places where you can rank your business in order to get clicks and traffic to your website. So in a perfect world, ideally what you would want to see is you would want to see your company at the very top of the Google Map Pack, your Google business profile, that is. And then you would also want to see your website in the top of the traditional, like the regular blue 10 links that we see here. And the reason why this is so important is because you have multiple opportunities to fit your business within these local search results. So that way you can, basically claim digital real estate space and make it that much more likely somebody clicks to your profile, to your website, and ultimately becomes a lead. So in an ideal world, we would rank number 1 in the Map Pack, and we would rank number 1 in those traditional results that we see. There we go. Okay, so what keywords are people searching for, and what keywords do we want to show up for? I've done, a lot of research over several markets in just in the United States for the most part, but all the big markets, I can kind of see some, replications of what kind of keywords are on a market to market basis. So if you're in a big city, this is going to be very easy. If you're in a smaller city, it might be a little bit more challenging, but these are the 3 keywords that you're going to want to optimize for. So it's going to be professional organizer, your city. That's going to be probably your bread and butter and your number 1 most important keyword. Then you're going to have a variation of that, which is home organizer, your city. And then you're going to have lastly, professional organizer near me. Now, many people will search, various things inside of Google search results, but these are going to be your heavy hitters and what you want to show up ultimately for, and of course, optimize your website and Google business profile for. Now that you know, kind of what keywords you want to show up for, it's really a matter of, where do I put these keywords, right? Where do I inject these keywords in my website, my Google business profile so that I show up? So first things first is probably the biggest heavy hitter is going to be your title tag and your meta description. And if you're not familiar with the title tag and meta description, it really is just the title that you see inside of the search results. Professional organizer in Dallas, Texas, right here is what you see is like the title in the traditional search results, right? That's going to be your title tag. And then right underneath that, you're going to see a meta description. And that's going to be the description that kind of gives a little bit more context to what this page is about. So there is a good general rule of thumb of how you want to do this. And you want to really focus on, in the title, having that main keyword. So let's just say your keyword is professional organizer Dallas. Ideally, what you want to do is have that main keyword as far left of the title as possible, and then have some kind of trust or credibility booster towards the right side of the title. Now, you can get pretty creative with this. You can do things like 100 plus reviews. You could do things like non-judgmental. You could do completely hands off, that kind of stuff, right? You can get a little bit creative with that part, but I do highly recommend having that main keyword that's far left to the possible. And then of course, injecting that same keyword within, somewhere within your meta description. It doesn't have to be an exact replication of that main keyword, but having some verbiage of that keyword in your meta description is going to be very big. Now, it depends on what platform your website is built on. You may be on Wix, you may be on WordPress or Squarespace, but typically you can find this stuff in the SEO settings for your website builder. But I would definitely recommend having that keyword in your title tag, as it's going to be a really good descriptor for Google to understand what your page is all about. And additionally, there are some other places that you can add or inject your keywords within your website. So that was a little bit more so in the actual search results that we were looking at, but now you can actually inject some of these keywords on your website as well. So I'm going to be focusing a little bit on the homepage because most organizers are going to rank their homepage. So just kind of keep that in mind. But as you can see, I have some examples over here of some organizers that are doing it really well. But ideally, you want to have the main heading one on your page have some, some verbiage of that main keyword that you're going after. So as you can see, this example here, we have the highest rated professional organizer in Phoenix, Arizona. That is their heading one tag. So it's the main heading that you see on the website. You want to have that keyword within that title because it's going to give, again, Google a really good representation about what this page is about, and Google is going to put a lot of emphasis on that main heading. Additionally, you can see I have another example here. It's not always going to be the main heading that you see. But it doesn't always have to be that main big heading, right? You can get a little creative with the styling, but it does matter that you have that main keyword in your H1, right? Your heading one. So you can be creative with the styling. It doesn't have to necessarily be the biggest text on the screen, but you want to make sure that heading one tag, and the only heading one tag that is on the website or on the homepage, is filled with your keyword as well. And you can get a little bit more aggressive as well with some of the other additional sections on your website too. You can have it in the H2s, which is going to be the heading 2s, right? So these are going to be some of the additional headings that you have on this page as well. Typically, I recommend having like a slight variation. So if your keyword is professional organizer Dallas, maybe you do something like home organizer Dallas, or maybe Dallas professional organizer. And then also, I do recommend that you have that keyword verbiage in your first paragraph on that page, right? So you can have it in this first paragraph that you see here, or this little line of text. Having that verbiage of professional organizer in Dallas, Texas is going to be a really good idea. And then also on the Google business side of things, right? You want to make sure that you have at least some kind of verbiage within the Google business profile to give you the best chance of success for ranking. So this is going to be like the Google business profile description. You can even add Google business profile posts that have the keyword in it. They have service descriptions, and you can even write these in your review responses. When somebody leaves you a review, you can even inject that keyword naturally. And again, I wouldn't overdo it, but I would just make sure that you have kind of your bases covered. This would be a good start for you. And then once you've got kind of the keyword placement set up, you've got some of the keywords injected in the right spaces, you really want to just get a couple basics right on your homepage. So again, we want to say what we do and where we do it kind of front and center. So again, professional organizer, your city. You want to make it obvious for who it's for. So if you serve busy families and professionals, maybe you would have something like professional organizer your city, and then underneath you would have for busy professionals and families and stuff like that. And again, one thing, this is not a little bit SEO focused, a little bit more conversion focused, but I would really highly recommend that you have a button kind of front and center when your website loads that either takes visitors to a phone call or that it goes to your contact page, and so that they can leave you a message on your contact form. Just kind of good general rule of thumb to have on any page on your website. You want to have kind of that main title there. You want to have who it's for, and then of course that call to action right underneath. And then as well on that same page, you want to list all your core services. So if you offer multiple services outside of organizing, you would have all of them listed on that homepage. So it could be organizing, decluttering, packing, unpacking. I would recommend having those listed on your homepage as well. And then lastly is really just reviews, right? We want to inject real 5-star reviews on our website. That way we can build credibility and trust amongst the people that are on our website. And that's just going to help people when they end up contacting you. But yeah, so those are the website basics. Nothing crazy, but it is stuff that's going to put your business and your website in the right position. Now, the Google business profile. So the Google business profile is going to be the forefront for your online SEO efforts. This is where a lot of the eyes go, and that ultimately leads to people visiting your website and contacting you. So I do highly, highly recommend that you go to your Google business profile and you fill it out as much as you can. So I recommend going in there, filling out the service areas, the categories, the business description, and using the space that they allot to do so. You can naturally include your keywords in these places. Again, you don't want to overdo it. You just want to make sure that it makes sense and it's very natural. But you can include these keywords in your business description, right? You can include it in the service descriptions, and again, in your review responses and so on and so forth. As far as the Google business profile goes, it really is a matter of looking professional and looking credible. So I do highly recommend that you have not only enough photos, but also high quality photos that it is. You want to make sure that you have before and afters, in progress shots, photos of the team, photos of the owner. That's a really good general rule of thumb of what you want to see, because you want people interacting with your profile and spending time on it. And then, of course, ultimately going to your website. That's going to give you the most bang for your buck. But also, again, high quality photos. I can't stress it enough, because it really is going to move the needle a lot. And then also, they have an option on there for you to add posts. And I won't say that the post will necessarily help you rank much better, but again, it's just good practice to stay relevant, keep the profile updated. So it's always good practice just to make sure, on a weekly basis, maybe a bi-weekly basis, you add a new post to your profile. And then, of course, you can go in there and add FAQs, and I highly recommend it, because you can give more context to Google and users all about you, right? All about you and your business and the services that you offer. So go in there, make sure you fill out your profile as much as you can. And then, of course, my next step would be getting reviews. So reviews are a big, big deal. And a lot of my clients probably think I'm annoying because I always mention reviews. But again, I say it so much because reviews are really going to be the heavy hitter for you from an SEO perspective, but also a business perspective. So they are a big ranking factor inside of Google. The more reviews you have, generally the higher rankings you can expect. And the great thing about reviews is there really is a snowball effect. The more reviews you get, the more views you get. The more views you get, the more clicks. And the more clicks, the more leads. The more leads, the more sales. So it really is a big snowball effect in terms of, just your general business success. And it makes everything easier on the business side. Sales becomes easier. Generating leads becomes easier. So I do highly, highly recommend that you are being as aggressive as possible to generate reviews for your Google business profile, but also some of your additional listings as well. So you're going to have things like your Yelp listing or your Facebook account and Thumbtack, for example. I do recommend that you get reviews there as well, as that's going to, really power up your just overall SEO presence. But again, Google's still going to be number one, but it's, good to not forget about some of the other ones. And then again, just work this process or this review process into how you do business. We stay pretty top of mind when it comes to reviews. We let them know in person, like, hey, we're going to send you a review link. If you really enjoyed your experience with us today, we'd really appreciate if you could leave us a review, and that would really help us out. And then we send them that link that you get from your Google business profile, and we'll text it to them, right? And sometimes, if we catch them at a good time, they'll leave that review right then and there. But if not, a lot of our clients have kids, or they get distracted by work, for example. We know that they may forget, and then, they just kind of may, brush by. So what we'll do is, if you had a great experience, if you wouldn't mind sharing your experience with us in terms of a review, and then we'll send it that way as well. So highly recommend following up with your reviews, because some people get busy, and it's okay if they forget. We just want to make sure that we can get that review if we can. Now, next is going to be your local listings. These are going to help build trust. And when I say local listings, I'm really referring to typically like directories, right? These are going to be online directories. So this is things like Yelp, Facebook, Thumbtack. They have Find My Organizer is also a industry relevant directory, right? You want to make sure that you have your business filled out on these directories, and there's several of them. There's literally hundreds of them, and you don't have to do hundreds of them, but it's generally good practice to be on the top ones so that you can share with Google and, of course, users as well. Hey, this is a legitimate business. We've been around. We've been doing this for a long time. And you want to give Google just good representation that, like, this is a legitimate business, we're local, and this is what we're doing. So I would highly recommend that you go out and build some of these listings. There is a tool called BrightLocal. It's just brightlocal.com. And you can actually go to BrightLocal and they can build these for you. It's pretty relatively inexpensive service. I think you can get 30 directory listings built for, I think it's like $100 or $96 or something like that. But you go in there, you input all your business information, kind of everything that you would see on your Google business profile. You just want to kind of copy all that information across your other listings. So again, this is going to be your Yelp listing, Find My Organizer, House, and so on and so forth. Again, this is really just going to help reinforce that this is a legitimate business and you're local, but also it's going to be kind of a solid foundation for your business online. And actually, you can find clients this way as well. We've gotten several clients through our Facebook account, obviously Thumbtack and Yelp and stuff like that. But it's a good way to also get, some clients too. Now, building authority with backlinks. Now, backlinks is an interesting topic when it comes to the organizing space, because I don't see a lot of organizers building links. And the reason why I mention this is because you can do everything that I mentioned, and you can do it really well. But if you don't build any links, it's definitely going to make your job harder. So if you don't know what a backlink is, in short, what it is a link from one website that points to your website. So this could be a guest post on another website. This could be your local chamber of commerce, for example. This could be like a local magazine website that points to your website. So having that link placement on a website that points back to your website is a strong trust signal in the eyes of Google. It really is just like a vote of confidence, right? And Google loves to see this kind of stuff. Now, I will say there is one caveat. You want to make sure that when you're building links that they're coming from quality sources and not just focusing on quantity. I do see a lot of, not just organizers, but just business owners. They focus on generating 200, 300 backlinks, and that's it. And I can confidently say that's probably not the right strategy to use. It may work in the short term, but as long term, it's probably not going to be a great idea. You really want to focus on backlinks that are coming from websites that are local, authoritative, and relevant to your industry. So I do have some information here. Only get links from sites that are either local. So this could be news sites, this could be local blogs, this could be your local chamber of commerce, or relevant websites, right? Relevant to the industry that you're in. So if you're in the organizing industry, you would want to get links from organizing related directories, podcasts, blogs, and that kind of stuff. And there's a few ways that you can go about getting links. It's great to, you can interact with local business owners as well and get them that way. But you can also be a guest on a podcast. A lot of times podcasts will link to the person's websites that's on the podcast. You can write a guest post on somebody else's website and have them link back to your website. Or you can sign up for one of my favorite strategies is Haro or Quote It and respond to journalist requests. These are free platforms that you can sign up with. I have some links at the end of this presentation that you can sign up with. But you can go in there, respond to reporters from some major media publications. And if they love your response, they'll actually use it in their article and they'll link back to your website. And I highly recommend it. And then lastly is, once you've kind of set everything into play, you've built some links, you've got the keywords injected into your website and Google Business Profile, you've completely optimized your Google Business Profile, and you've got reviews. So it's smart that you check your rankings so you can get a good feel of where you're at. And there's a good tool with Bright Local. They have a local search result checker where you can go in, you can input, your business type or your main keyword, right? So let's say professional organizer Dallas. You can input your location as if you were searching from somebody that's in Dallas, Texas, and then you can search between the Google Maps and see where you rank there and in the traditional top 10 results as well. So you can kind of decipher between both of those options and kind of just get a good feel of where you're currently at and kind of, what kind of, progress that you need to make up. So I do highly recommend, using this tool to your advantage. I think you get like 10 free searches per day, so you can definitely use it and check the different keywords that you rank for. But just a really good tool to kind of have your tool belt. Now, if this is something that you would want help with, like I said, I am a professional organizer and I do handle SEO for other organizers as well. I'd be happy to speak with you. But if you want to kind of just take the next step, just feel free to visit this link here. It's just goseo.com/professional organizers. Just feel free to leave me a message and we can just hop on a call and we can talk everything through. And if not, you just go ahead and scan this barcode here as well. And then I do have some quick links that just kind of further the whole topic of SEO for professional organizers. I do have a very detailed blog post on my website for SEO for professional organizers. Highly would recommend checking that out. And then I also have a backlinks for professional organizers post as well. A little bit more of a deep dive into just the backlink side of things as well. And then I have some tools here listed as well. So the Bright Local Search Results Checker, detailed Chrome extension. You can kind of get a free snapshot of your SEO, your title tags, and your headings and stuff like that. Highly would recommend it. It's free. And then, of course, Quote It and Haro, Help a Reporter Out. So I highly recommend checking these out. They're all free. You can go in there and just take a look and, see if they can be of some benefit to you. But that's it. That's all I've got.
I also took the liberty of getting the link here. So you can actually click directly on that link to fill out the form to get in touch with Aaron. He offers a variety of different services that I think you guys should check out if this is something that you're like, yeah, I know I need this, but I want to enact one of the 4 Ds, that being delegation. You can go ahead and click that link and delegate this to somebody who actually has the time and expertise for it. That's my favorite D, is the delegation ones. Cool. I have a whole list of questions here that have popped up. Let me just triple check that I am not missing any because they were kind of coming in. They're trickling in here. Let me check my own version of the live stream. Okay, great. Now, if you guys have questions, please continue to pass them along. We had some from folks who are listening and watching on the job, so they can't interact right now, so they sent them ahead of time. Worth Organizing says great info. First of all, so, clap for you. This stuff really is very helpful. It seems a little bit daunting because there's various different things you can do, but honestly, it's one of the best things that I could have possibly done for my business. I did talk to somebody, a coaching client of mine, one-on-one a couple of weeks ago, and basically she got some advice from a quote unquote local SEO expert that was saying that it wasn't necessarily something she should focus on because the market that she's in is oversaturated and she wouldn't be able to rank. And I was thinking to myself, I feel like you need to get a second opinion. Do you think that's true, Aaron?
Definitely. And, I think that's a great point, because the way that I see it is, if there is competition, that means that there's actively people that are searching for that service in the market. So, I would say that's an excellent opportunity to go after.
Yeah. You guys, I don't know if there was a lot of competition when you started in the New Orleans area, but you guys rose to the number one ranking relatively quickly using basically everything. Like, Aaron's not a gatekeeper. Everything that he's talked about are things that he has actually done for his organizing business and that I have since done. One thing I will say too about the backlink platforms like Harrow and Quoted, I use them regularly. And that is how I'm able to put on my website as featured in Martha Stewart, Forbes, Real Simple, Spruce. Yes. I've written for all of them now. And it's gotten to the point where I don't even, at this point, because I have been so consistent with that, I don't even have to use those platforms as often because reporters from the publications actually reach out personally to me via email for free and say, hey, would you be willing to either hop on a Zoom with me, or can you give me 200 words on XYZ topic? And now I'm not even really having to use those platforms as often because they can be a little bit competitive, but 100% worth going in and utilizing that and just hitting it hard for a few months.
Definitely.
Because it really works. Okay, so I'm going to jump in to some questions. I'm going to take these in order. Here's the first one from Ashley. So how long does SEO take to work? I've been in business 3 years, starting Google Business a year ago, asked for reviews, but still no clients from Google. Not sure if I'm doing it right. Thanks.
Sure. So she's right. SEO can definitely take some time. I think a good general rule of thumb to really, make sure you're doing things right is a good 6 to 12 months. We're in the organizing industry though, which is a good thing because it's typically less competitive than some of the other industries that you'll see. Like, we're not in like the personal injury space or the HVAC space. So we are dealing with a little bit of a smaller market. So generally you can get results quicker than that. But again, it really is just going to depend on your local competition. If you have organizing companies that are in your market that have several reviews and they're building links consistently and they've been doing SEO for an extended period of time, it's going to be a little bit more of an uphill battle. But again, if they're doing it actively, they're actively engaging in SEO. That's a good confidence signal that this is worthwhile to do because they are getting clients that way as well.
Awesome. Jen is saying, wow, that's a lot of really great info. We're getting really good feedback. Addie is saying it was awesome. Great. Okay, so next question. Did I do this one already? Let's see. How important is word count on your pages? Is there an ideal range?
So I wouldn't say there's an ideal range. I think you always want to be thorough in your pages without overdoing it, of course. I don't think typically many people want to see just huge, blocks of text as well. But I say a good general rule of thumb is to take a look at your local competition. Kind of get a good feel of what the top 10 results have in terms of word count. And you can take an average of those top 10 results, and that can be a good general rule of thumb of kind of where you should be. If you take a look at some of my websites, they're all, they look different, but they're all relatively built the same. They have the same sections. They have similar wording on them. And that's just because I know that it works. And that's, we're creating very thorough websites, right? We're creating very thorough websites that have the information that's needed. So that could be, not only like the main section that you see, but you'll also see like services sections, you'll see about sections, you'll see, of course, testimonials from reviews. So it can definitely easily get to about 800 to 1,000 words quickly if you're just building out some of those sections. But I would say there's a general rule of thumb. Just take a look at your local competition and see what they're doing.
Yeah, that's really, really good advice. It's one of those things that is an oddly controversial topic when it comes to SEO. Like I threw out a number at a conference one time and some girl turned around and like shot me this look and she was like, that doesn't matter. And I was like, I mean, I think it kind of does. You want to have enough. You don't want to have thin content, right? You don't want to make sure there's enough for Google to index and understand what your page is about. And there are ways, there are strategies to do that, like adding FAQ sections and drop downs and things that don't like clutter up the page.
Exactly.
But they allow us to, have the information on the page as necessary. Just getting started is very timely. Yes, absolutely. All right. Next question. What is the best way to use social media to boost your SEO and drive more traffic to your website?
So, social media goes a little hand in hand with SEO, but they are, of course, separate as well. I do recommend that you have all your social profiles. So like the main ones, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, even, you can have Twitter or X. I do think it's very important that you have those. But as far as helping you rank, it's going to be minuscule as far as, there are some things that you can do that can influence, good practices inside of Google. Like if you're getting, a lot of traction on your Facebook page or your Instagram profile, for example, and people are clicking to your website, even though they're not finding you on Google, Google is still seeing that people are spending time on your website, and that's a good thing. So they may not directly correlate, but they can work together too.
Good. Interesting. Yeah. I think people get really tripped up about social media.
Sure.
I always whenever I'm writing captions or I'm having my social media manager write captions, I tell him to optimize it for SEO, but I don't know if it really makes a huge, every little bit can count in its own way, as long as you're consistent.
That's right.
But don't get held up about it. Okay.
Yeah, we don't really generate a ton of leads, honestly, from our social profiles. We get them here and there, Facebook and Instagram, but not a ton.
Right. Next question. What are some common SEO mistakes that new business owners make when setting up their website?
That's a great question. I see a lot of things, right? I've looked at a lot of organizing websites, and I'd say some of the biggest are, one, there's no keyword focus. I'll go to a lot of organizing websites, and I can't find their location for anything. So I'm a big believer that you need to have what it is that you do and where you do it kind of front and center when your website loads. Ideally, I'd love to see it on every page of your website. You don't have to have it in the title, but just having it very clear of what it is that you do and where you do it is definitely going to be a big one. Another one that I see is I had spoken in one of the slides about the heading one, right? The big main heading that you have on your page. A lot of times what I'll see is that organizers will have several H1s on one page. And you only want to have one, right? You only want to have one H1 per page. And that's something that I see pretty commonly. And I say that because Google is going to put a lot of emphasis on that H1. So we want to make sure we have one H1 and it's super strong and it has our keyword in it. But those are like the two biggest things that I see often. I guess the third would be they're not building links. And this is on the website side, right? Because the Google Business Profile, they do work together, but they are separate. But not building links is a big thing. We want to make sure that we're building authority over time. It just makes everything that much easier when it comes to our SEO. And then on the Google Business side, it's the reviews. You can do everything that I mentioned today, but if you're not building reviews, it won't really matter. So I highly recommend you get reviews.
Yeah, that's so true. And we weave it into our whole offboarding flow, and we make it as easy as possible. There is a scannable link in our invoices. We send them via text message. We've found that SMS, like the response rate is much higher when we do them via text. We'll do via email. It really just we've kind of tweaked and tested a lot of different things. We also will send like cards in the mail if it's a really big job, like a five-figure job. That. I'm sending them some Oreo cookies that are like, congratulations on your move. Thank you for spending $20,000, literally. No, I won't say that, but like, we're going to put in the extra effort. And then we ask them for the review in the QR code there. And, just the little extra human touch definitely goes a long way
Definitely.
in incentivizing somebody to give you a review. Because, okay, so just as like a little side tangent, I was looking for a mobile detailing service for my husband for his truck because his birthday was last week and his truck is a disaster because he just went hunting. It's just
Sure.
so I'm like, all right, so I want to, get somebody to come to us before we go off on our summer adventures, whatever, with the kids in the back seat and all the like hunting carcass nonsense. And so what's the first thing I do? I go to Google and I'm saying mobile detailing services near me. What's the next thing
That's
I'm
right.
doing? Looking at all the reviews and
Yep.
not necessarily looking for the 5-star, but definitely, 4.7 and above. And like,
Mm-hmm.
I read the reviews and I think we all do that. It's got to be there. It's really important, which is kind of leads me to the next question. It's a good segue. I'm just starting out with SEO. Should I focus more on Google reviews or backlinks first?
That's a great question. If you can handle both, I would do both. But I think reviews are going to be the biggest bang for your buck, and they're free. Some of the links that we mentioned here are technically free, but they do take your time. Whereas reviews, they're pretty straightforward process. So I would highly recommend reviews.
Yeah, absolutely. Jen is saying that it drives her crazy when she can't figure out where a business is located. Yeah, I am right there with you.
Me too. Me too.
It's funny how common it is to not have that information. There was a question.
If I can add something real quick on the topic of reviews.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of conversations in the Facebook groups and stuff about organizers offering services for free or a discount for reviews. And I think anybody can have their opinion on, what they want to do. But I will tell you from our experience, when we were getting started, we did services for free and we did services at a discounted rate for 5-star reviews. In my opinion, I highly recommend it. We were so aggressive about reviews, and I think we have a little bit over 200 now. But it all started with that, right? And again, it's that big snowball. The more reviews that you get on a recurring basis, the more that are going to pile in because you're going to get more traction, you're going to get more leads, and of course, it's going to ultimately lead to sales. And when you get sales, you get opportunities for reviews. So it's fun to have sales because you get the money, but you also get a chance to get another review.
100%. I think I skipped this question. I'm going to post it in the event that, we can continue talking about it because it was sort of relevant.
Sure.
How do you make sure when people search for organizers in their area, you pop up? I have the counties I serve listed, but do I need to put every town on my website somewhere?
Sure. So you don't necessarily need to, I'll see this with some websites at the very bottom, like in the footer, they'll have like every little location and like zip code that they service. Wouldn't really recommend that. That's kind of an outdated practice and a little bit spammy in my opinion. This is not something we really covered today, but if you want to service multiple locations, typically you want to have multiple pages for those other locations. So with your homepage, for example, you may have like the central location. Let's just say you're in Dallas, Texas. That homepage would be all about, professional organizer in Dallas. But let's say you also serve Frisco, Texas, right? Something that's like 30 to 45 minutes away. Ideally, what I want to do is use those same principles, but I would have a different page for it, right? So it would be professional organizer Frisco. Then you would just talk about all the services and offerings that you have inside of Frisco, Texas. So the URL would start like, yourwebsite.com/professional organizer Frisco, Texas. And then you would just follow the same principles that were applied in this presentation here to that same page.
Yeah, super smart. We've done that. It goes in line along with the separate service pages. And it's not like you have to build the whole page from scratch. You can duplicate it and switch in the correct variables. And it takes like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We do that pretty often as we've tested new services. And when we most recently added move management as a service, that was something we wanted to test and see if it was viable in our market. We raised our rates. We added that separate service page and really made it very robust. And we created different ones for each because I straddle 2 states. And so we made one for each.
Sure.
And we found and then I hit the backlinks really hard. Again, I started making sure that we were doing that. And I would say within about 3 weeks, we went from getting 1 very qualified lead a week, coming to our website, filling out the form and actually following through. with that, that's what I mean by like well qualified. We get more than that all the time, but not all of them,
Cool.
respond. We went from 1 to about an average of 4 to 5.
That's awesome.
It just, unbelievable how well that works if you know how to do this, or if you have somebody that knows how to do this that can help you out.
Sure. Yeah, it definitely can be big and great way to kind of expand your reach outside of your central market.
Yeah. And just kind of, it's okay to experiment with this. Let's see. Let's do this question. How often should you update your website to keep it fresh and relevant for SEO?
I love this question. I always think you should be looking at your website for opportunities for improvement. I will say our website, like we don't go in there and just update content just to update content, but we will take a look at our website and see if there's opportunities for improvement. So taking a look at the services and the sections that we have on the page as well. But we don't just go in just to update content for like freshness or anything. It's really just a matter of like a little bit more of like, I'd say like a business perspective type of changes that we do. But you really don't have to go in there all the time and just change things to change things. The only thing for our website, for our organizing business in New Orleans, we may make some, changes to our homepage or our website, here or there. But a lot of times our efforts are focused on reviews and getting more backlinks.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get it set up right and you build some of these authority signals with the links and the reviews, it really rolls like a snowball.
So true. Okay. Jen is saying, for those separate pages for different areas, is that a different domain?
Sure. That's a great question. It's actually going to all be on the same website, the same domain. So your homepage will be like website.com, right? That's going to be your homepage and your website. You would just have an additional page. It would look very similar to how we have these links on the page here, right? So it would be like goseo.com is my domain. And then if I wanted to create an additional page, I would just make sure that I fill in the URL with what the page is all about. So on the same website, it would be, website.com/professional organizer Frisco, Texas, or professional organizer Dallas, Texas, or whatever location you're going after. So you would just have it in the URL and it would be all in the same website, same domain.
Fabulous. Okay, cool. I think we very well covered all of this. My only follow-up question was, you mentioned something, I think it was in regards to Bright Local. You said they have the ability, you can pay them to actually update all of your directory listings.
Yes.
Was it brightlocal.com where you go and sign up?
It is Bright Local, yes. Yeah. There's several of them out there, but Bright Local is just one that I've used, for my business and for, several others. They've been around forever, so highly recommend them.
Cool. Yeah. And just so that everybody knows, Aaron has, not only on his website does he have a bunch of services that you can engage in, but he also has really helpful blog posts on his website. So if you need a refresher about any of this stuff, you can see in the helpful links listed over here, he's got website links to Go SEO for professional organizers. Read through all that stuff and then look at some of the things that are offered there as well. Like if this is something that you want to start taking really seriously, I highly recommend it. And I find it interesting and kind of comical how many people are against SEO in a way. Like they don't want to do it or they don't see the value in it. It really is the only strategy at this point that we use to grow our business. And it has been super, super effective for kind of what we're trying to do. So definitely get in touch with Aaron. He's my go-to guy for anything SEO related. And honestly, because I've known him for as long as I have now, there are times when I'll take a screenshot of something on my Google Search Console or any of the back end Google Analytics, and I'll be like, is this normal? And he'll let me know, stop freaking out. It's the wrong URL. You need to click the drop down menu and look at the main one. I'm like, oh, okay.
I remember that one.
Oh yeah. I was like, all of these pages are not indexed and I don't understand, all these different, really silly things. But if you do sign up for an audit, Aaron sat with me for over an hour going through and put together this very robust spreadsheet. And I still refer back to it.
I love that.
Years later as I'm going through and optimizing my website. So definitely take advantage of the help when you can. Okay. You guys, you can always make more money, but you cannot make more time. And so the time is now. Make it happen, especially if you really want to grow. So anyway, Aaron, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I think everybody got a lot of really good value out of it. Feel free to continue asking questions. Aaron is a member of the free Facebook group. So
Yes.
if you want to get a direct response from him, tag him, hit that @ symbol, and then Aaron Traub, and he will respond to you directly. I can guarantee.
Please let me know if you have any questions.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Aaron.